Hey everyone, it's Kimber Schaefer here with Rage in the Cage OKC News. We are hanging out at Rage 62 sponsor, The Weight Room in Oklahoma City. Couldn't be more excited. We're talking all things Rage in the Cage 62. And no stranger to the cage and no stranger to Rage in the Cage. Here is Nathan Trepagnier. I mean, we were just talking about this, Nathan. It is so exciting to be back at the farmers market. Obviously, that's where you got your amateur career started. You fought several times at Rage in the Cage. And it's not just you, the whole pro card. It's just made up of fighters that got their amateur careers started at Rage in the Cage, but also there at farmers market. So it's kind of like a homecoming for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to fight back in Oklahoma again and for my friends and family to be able to come see me. Like you said, Farmers Market is where I started. I had my first fight there back in April of 2014. So it's kind of cool how that's come full circle. You know, I've got to travel all over the country and fight some really high-level people, and now I kind of back home doing it in front of my loved ones and have my coach and team in my corner again. So that's pretty exciting. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Well,
you know what's awesome, too, is there's several UFC fighters that have just randomly been in the audience before at Rage in the Cage event, one at Farmers Market once. And, I interviewed during intermission, and, each one of them come up and said, hey, I got my amateur career started right here in this very building for Rage in the Cage. So hopefully someday that's you, and as well as several other fighters being on the big stage of UFC and knowing that you got your start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Rage in the Cage provides a lot of opportunities for some, high-level athletes. MMA is a pretty young sport, so I think we're now just starting to see the fruition of the local guys getting into the higher levels. So, yeah, definitely appreciate them paving the way for that, and I'm going to try and be in the next breed of guys that are coming up.
Looking forward to that. And, just speaking about those feeder stages, you obviously have had three. You haven't fought in Oklahoma since 2017, but your last three fights have been huge fights with, feeder stage for the UFC, big cards that you fought on. And it's been three tough losses because of that. So what have you learned from those experiences, and how important is it for you to be back for your comeback fight in front of a hometown audience?
Well, it's not just the hometown audience. I'm really excited that I actually have a few weeks to train for this. Those three opportunities that you alluded to, Ring of Combat, Legacy, and King of the Cage, all called me on a week's notice and asked me to pretty much fight some stud at the weight class. Took the opportunity because I always stay pretty consistently ready. But, of course, if you have time to analyze someone's film and train for a specific partner, you're going to have a better opportunity. But, I'm definitely excited to be back home, but really I think the key here is going to be having time to train and having my coach in my corner. Those are the two big distinguishing differences that I see. I feel like I could have won any one of those three fights, but a lot of people have really pristine records around here, but I think it's because they're scared to fight tough opponents on big shows and take tough opportunities. Like one of the Aranda Doss, she fought on 2 days' notice. I saw her last night on an all-women's card. That takes a lot of heart, and, not to say that I'm special or anything, but I think that's like a certain amount of credibility involved just going to take those dangerous fights, If you're not willing to go slay a dragon, how can you ever be a hero? So, and if it doesn't have a capacity to kill you, then are you really in a fight with a dragon, or are you just a bully?
Well, and honestly, I feel like that the bigger stages do look at that. They look at your fight card. They look about, who you fought. It doesn't matter if you've got 10 wins, no losses, if you haven't fought anybody on those, tougher cards. So I definitely think that plays to your advantage in that aspect.
Yeah, certainly. I'm grateful for the experiences, and I think they've all made me much better fighters, much better fighter. I fought high-level boxers, brown belt. A couple of them were on national TV. I was on... I've had plenty of great opportunities, so it's just going to make me all the better going forward. I'm only 25 years old, and I have, I think, 10 years of fighting left in me, easily.
Well, and speaking of fighting left in you, this is going to be a battle for you with somebody that you've got some bad blood with. So, or at least he pictures it that way from my interview I just did with Tevin. So tell me a little bit about how that happened and what's going on between you two, because we really, just a few minutes ago, there was even some bad words between the two of you.
Well, I didn't even recognize his name when I first got the contract, so I thought it's kind of weird that he said that. But, yeah, he seemed really aggressive when I walked in here, and I just felt like I needed to kind of protect my space a little bit. But after that, he, kept shaking my hand and calling me sir, and I don't know. It was a pretty bizarre situation. I don't know. He seems like a bully because once I didn't fold, then he folded. And I think that's going to be very evident in the fight. I watched a little bit of film after I got his name on the contract, and he seems like he has less than no ground game. He thinks he's a striker, but he has some T-Rex arms and little stubby legs. Really, I can't see him doing anything effective in the fight against me at all. I want to make it last a little bit, but I just don't see how he's going to make it outside of about 2 minutes. So
I love doing interviews with you, and I even like, just seeing you, write things like on social media and stuff. Because I mean, you keep it. You're fun to listen to, and I really feel like you would be like a good commentator.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to have something to do after my brain rots halfway out of my head from getting hit so many times. So hopefully commentating or maybe being on the other side of the camera is something that I could look into someday. But for now, I'm just focused on my fighting career and smashing Tevin's little head off the ground. He seems to think I'm going to try and take him down, but I'm going to knock him out. I don't know where he gets that strange idea from. I've never said it, or anything. So I don't know. I'm going to go bounce his head off the canvas and go back home.
Well, what I find funny is you don't feel like it appears to me you don't feel like there's bad blood there. Obviously, he feels like there is. So you guys have had some kind of conversation maybe that you've forgotten about?
Well, I'm a little bit vocal on social media, like you kind of alluded to. So it's possible that we may have crossed words once or twice. But it sounds like he just looks up to me, which I appreciate. And it's going to make it tough to beat him down. But it's what has to happen for me to get my win bonus. So,
well, you actually said you think he's a nice guy. So,
yeah. Well, as far as like little pussies go, he's a nice guy. It was more like he was scared than like a nice guy. He wasn't like polite. He was like didn't want to get beat up in front of his friends, is what it seemed like to me. But he thought he was gonna like kind of punk me, I think, and then realized that it's not gonna be like that.
Well, all right, then. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting night in the cage. It was definitely interesting here just about 30 minutes ago, seeing the two of you guys. But, guys, I'm telling you, you got to come see this. Rage in the Cage 62, November 3rd. You can get tickets from Nathan Trepagnier right here, any other fighter on the cards. And before we wrap it up, any sponsors or shout-outs?
Judge Kavanaugh got confirmed today. That's fantastic.
That's a shout-out. All right. Well, we will see you guys there November 3rd. Rage in the Cage. Tickets at stubwire.com.